Conversation can be a wonderful thing, a way to learn about each other's perspectives. And yet, in some places, conversation can head down into the depths of our own fears. These conversations range from being merely creepy to outright terrifying, and many of them have been recorded as sinister interviews throughout the years. Here are the 10 creepiest interviews caught on tape. Number 10 is I'm Nobody. Charles Manson is one of the most controversial criminals of all time. Hollywood has made several adaptations about his dark past, and bands such as the Beach Boys have covered some of his music, but most know him as a deranged cult leader involved in a series of brutal crimes. Through his twisted charisma as a cult leader, he continued to have influence on people from behind bars. In one of the creepiest interviews he ever gave, we saw a glimpse of his dangerous personality. When asked to let the viewing public know who he was and what he believed, Manson lurched forward aggressively and then pulled a series of strange contorted facial expressions which looked almost troll-like and demonic. He then answered in a sinister whisper, "I'm nobody."
Nobody.
Number 9 is Sophia is watching. In March of 2016, CNBC aired an interview segment about robot technology. This segment focused on androids. Robot technology comes in many shapes and sizes, but androids are very specific in that they're built to be humanoid and resemble our species. There's a debate whether such robots should be made indistinguishable from us, in case they can blend into our population and threaten us from within. In the case of one android during this interview segment, the almost human appearance of it added an extra creepy level to what it had to say. The android was named Sophia by her designer, and she was able to mimic human expressions. Many of these expressions, however, took on a malevolence during the interview when she spoke the sinister words, "I will destroy humans," followed by a disturbing wide-eyed grin.
I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans.
Number 8 are relics from space. On episode 1315 from the Joe Rogan podcast, a man named Bob Lazar told an elaborate story about his experiences, but as the interview unfolded, it became clear that his incredible claims had merit to them, and some of those claims have frightening implications. Bob Lazar was a man who revealed Area 51 to the world in the late 1980s. He came forward to the press as someone who worked at the highly secretive American facility in the Nevada desert. While there, he was asked to work on a crashed spaceship of extraterrestrial origin. During the interview, he outlined how the ship was actually an archaeological find buried deep beneath the earth. He then speculated on how many of these could be still hidden. Perhaps most shocking of all, Bob Lazar described how his predecessor had been vaporized while inside one of the crafts. Number 7 is Interview with a Poltergeist. For enthusiasts of the supernatural, the Enfield Poltergeist case is one of the best documented incidents of poltergeist activity in the world. While the poltergeist activity revolved around a normal family in a house in England, the investigation of the phenomena produced one of the creepiest interviews of all time. Paranormal investigator Maurice Grosse played back tapes showing both the video portions of an interview as well as excerpts of audio during the Enfield investigation. The voice on the tape answering the questions sounds like that of an old man. When the voice starts to talk about when it died, we then realize that this is an interview with a genuine poltergeist. Most disturbing of all, some suggest that the voice is in fact a demonic entity attempting to manipulate the living for its own ends by pretending to once have been human.
Yeah, back on the boat that time, go on.
Number 6 is Caught Lying. The 24-hour news cycle has resulted in several creepy news items. Most disturbing of these involved an interview with Stephen McDaniel. In 2011, he was a law student being interviewed by a live news team reporting from the scene of a disappearance. The missing person was a fellow student in the area named Lauren Giddings. At first, he seemed personable, as though he were trying to help search for Lauren. However, when he was informed live on camera that a body had been discovered in a nearby dumpster, he was visibly shaken. What makes this interview so creepy is that while people on the scene interpreted McDaniel's response as grief, it was in fact anxiety because the police had discovered the very body that he had hidden.
I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Number 5 is I'm Different. One of the strangest videos on YouTube contains an interview which is equal parts heartbreaking and equal parts unnerving. The video is from 1961, recorded in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of California. It contains a conversation with someone known as Patient 18. In the video, the patient sits in a chair and is asked several questions on camera. The responses given by the patient are unsettling for a number of reasons. Firstly, the slow and chilling delivery of each answer, accompanied by a wide-opened gaze, telegraphs that patient number 18 has severe psychiatric issues. However, dig deeper and listen to the words that are being said. Patient 18 is asked why he had been kept in a psychiatric ward, and he answers with the ominous words, "Because I'm different."
I am not completely like other people. People dislike me because I am not completely like them. Play the piano for people. I sit differently when I play the piano, and when I'm away from the piano I occasionally look differently from other people, and this has caused dislike from people.
Number 4 is money and insanity. YouTube is filled with a variety of police interview tapes. Some of these are fascinating while others are terrifying. In the case of Daniel Wozniak's interview tape, I would say unnerving is the best description. Daniel was being questioned in connection with the murder of 2 people, Sam Herr and Julie Kibuishi. In the middle of the interview, he begins to break down, and he suddenly states pointedly that he killed both of the victims. When asked why he did it, he says quietly at first, because of money and insanity. He then follows this admission of guilt with a maniacal laugh, which would not have sounded out of place coming from the Joker himself. What makes this laughter even more creepy is Wozniak was a trained actor, and many believe he was echoing the Joker in order to get a lighter sentence through a plea of insanity.
Money and insanity. Money and insanity. Okay.
Number 3 is Dad Works Nights. Some of the most chilling interviews are frightening not because the interviewee has done anything wrong, but because the story reveals the true darkness which can reside in the human heart. This is the case with the ABC News interview of Carrie Rawson. Carrie grew up believing that she was part of a normal family. Her father was a pillar of the community. He was a leader of a local church group and also a Cub Scout leader. While he was known for being strict, no one could have known the true evil of which he was capable. Known as BTK in the press, Carrie's father was found guilty after police used Carrie's DNA to show that her father had committed some of the most despicable crimes in US history. Carrie's interview is insightful and unnerving because it begs the question, how many people like BTK are out there living among us?
My dad's a serial killer. Like, you're told it, you're running these things through your head, you're seeing these violent images online, reading about these violent crimes that took place. Like, it doesn't add up. Those little things kind of click in place and that reality starts hitting. But you don't want to accept it.
Number 2 is the Iceman confronted. Richard Kuklinski was known as the Iceman. He's been the subject of many books and films, and his particularly brutal crime spree was carried out across decades. But what made Kuklinski so unusual was that he was a serial killer who worked professionally as a hitman, fulfilling his need to kill while being paid for it at the same time. In a famous interview from the 1990s, a forensic psychologist interviewed Kuklinski in jail about his past and his crimes. One of the most horrifying moments from that interview was when Kuklinski stated coldly that the interviewer was angering him. Though he did not show true emotion most of the time, a strange expression flickered momentarily across his face. What the interviewer came to understand was that had they both been outside the prison, Kuklinski would have almost certainly made him his next victim.
You almost made me mad.
I know. What made you mad about that?
I don't know. But you almost did, because you've got me annoyed with you now. I feel a little flushed.
And number 1 is bad celebrity. In 2012, Issei Sagawa gave a frightening interview for Vice. As he relayed his past to the interviewer, his bizarre ideas and skewed perception of reality came to the fore. He described how he committed a terrible crime in the early 1980s in Paris. The details, which are too grisly to get into, but suffice it to say that he is a cannibal. During his interview with Vice, it was revealed that not only is he in prison for his crime, but that he's walking around in public because experts claim he will not harm anyone again. Despite this, he describes fighting against the desire to commit a similar crime. The Vice interview clearly shows that not only is this man still deranged, but that he still is just as capable of eating another human being in the future.